Okay. So the avatar has these two purposes. Paritrana sadhunam and vinashacha dushkritam both are important. Both are important. And another thing is that only one will not do. It's not that if you just protect the sadhus and you leave the dushta people, that won't do. So both are important. So this sadhunam paritran and dushkritam vinasha, both of them, they contribute to dharma samsthapana. If you want law and order to be established, then you have to encourage and you have to facilitate the gentlemen and you have to destroy the miscreants. So when sadhunam paritran and dushkritam vinasha both happen, then dharma samsthapana happens. So this will happen only when both are done properly. If the sadhus are not protected and you just keep on destroying the evil people, but how will you run society? To run society, it is not that all the crooks and the rogues should be in the jail, but good people should be able to do run the society. And what if you totally neglect punishing the criminals and you just encourage with schools and education and all cultural activities? You have big libraries and all that. Even that will be 50% of the work. So that's why Krishna is mentioning here 4.8. Sadhunam paritran dushkritam vinash both are important. So I'm going to ask you this question now. Is justice a concept or a person? Anybody would like to answer this question on the screen?
Prabhuji, justice is a
Yeah.
concept.
Okay. I'm grateful. Thank you. Anybody else has some another opinion?
Usually it can be both.
Okay. Good. So both of you are right from from different perspectives. Usually justice is a concept. How is justice a concept? Because justice means that if somebody has done something wrong, then he will get a corresponding punishment. The punishment cannot be less, the punishment cannot be more. Whatever he has done, only that much punishment he should get. And what if somebody has done something good? Then he should get a reward also. Justice is not just giving punishment for your mistakes or for some wrong. Justice also means rewarding people for something good that they have done. So if they had done something little good, then they should get a little reward. If they had done lot of good, then they should get lot of reward. And what happens when you cross this nature of corresponding, that somebody does little good and you give a huge reward, or somebody does some small mistake and you give him a big punishment, then that's not called justice, then that is called whimsical nature. मुझे अच्छा लगा इसलिए मैंने ज्यादा रिवॉर्ड दे दिया, मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगा इसलिए मैंने इसको सजा दे दी. And whimsical people cannot ever be rulers. So Krishna is mentioning that when I reward somebody, I don't cross that limit. I reward exactly as per what good he has done, and I will always punish exactly as per whatever nonsense that person has done. Please never feel that अरे इसके जीवन में ना अन्याय हो गया. Sometimes we speak like that. प्रभु जी इसके जीवन में बहुत अन्याय हो गया. Actually, genuinely speaking, from a philosophical perspective, from Gita perspective, actually there is nothing called as anyay. Yes, sometimes what appears to be anyay is because we don't know the whole picture. But the Supreme Lord, because He's everywhere as a Paramatma in everyone's heart, actually whatever is happening in any of our lives, sometimes we are being rewarded or sometimes we are being punished. But believe me, Krishna is not a whimsical person, and Krishna is himself declaring that Paritranaya Sadhuna Vinashaya Dushkram. These are the two things that I do. So if we are one of the good people, today, tomorrow, or day after tomorrow, good has to happen in our life. And if we have done something wrong to somebody, then maybe today, maybe tomorrow, or maybe day after tomorrow, maybe we'll also get some corresponding punishment. There is a way out, which we'll also discuss in the due course of time. So, accepting this general understanding that justice is a concept and not a person, I'm going to show you one photograph now. Anybody knows who is this person? This is S.A. Bobde. He is the 47th Chief Justice of India. Now he's a person, but although he's a person, he's the topmost, the topmost person of the judiciary system of India. But I have highlighted that word justice. Why have I highlighted? Because I want to show you that the topmost person who is representing justice in India is also called, he's the Chief Justice of India. But justice was a principle, justice was a concept. But how is this person called justice? This person is called justice because this person personifies justice. This person embodies justice. अगर कोई व्यक्ति है पूरे भारत में who understands the concept of justice properly, there is no higher person than this person, Justice S.A. Bobde. Nobody understands what is right and what is wrong in the Indian context. As per Indian constitution, any better than S.A. Bobde, and that's why he has been conferred upon the highest position in the judiciary of India. There are many other justices, there are many other judges who also are, judges. Yeah, Subhash Kataria ji, is it possible to mute yourself? So there are many of such people who can also handle cases in the Supreme Court of India, but above all of them is this S.A. Bobde. So one interesting thing is when somebody really embodies justice, when somebody sometimes embodies the principle, then he and the principle become one. ऐसा कभी कभी बोलते हैं ना, somebody is a person who's always speaking the truth. So in our childhood we have heard of this one king called Harishchandra, and this Harishchandra को क्या नाम मिला है? सत्यवान हरिश्चंद्र. So it is almost that every single word that he speaks is satya. Every single word that he speaks is truth. And that's why, truth has become synonymous with Harishchandra. Now, whenever truth is being glorified, whenever truth is being spoken about, they will mention this name of Harishchandra. So Harishchandra is a person, Satya is a principle. But when you live your whole life based on that principle, in one sense, you become one with the principle. So similarly, S.A. Bobde, he has never ever done injustice. He solved all cases very nicely. Wherever there was a reward to be given, he gave a reward. Wherever there was some punishment to be given, he has given punishment. That's why he's called the 47th Chief Justice of India. Similarly, my dear friends, Krishna Avatar is also a personification or an embodiment of Dharma. So, Dharma is a principle. Dharma means what is right. Dharma means what is appropriate. And what is adharma? Adharma is opposite of dharma. But when a personality, he has never ever done adharma, he will never ever support adharma. It's almost like the justice principle and the justice person became one. Similarly, Avatar, the Supreme Lord, is actually dharma personified. So when we understand this principle that Avatar is dharma personified, just like the Chief Justice is justice personified, then we understand why does Krishna come again and again. Krishna comes again and again to protect dharma, to destroy adharma, paritranaya sadhunam, to save his devotees from being tortured like like Prahlad Maharaj, and he comes to destroy Ravan, he comes to destroy Hiranyakashipu. Through Arjun, he destroyed the Kauravas, he destroyed Shakuni, he destroyed Karna, he destroyed Duryodhan, Dushasan, and so on. So this is how Krishna is, that he's dharma personified. So now I have something on the screen for you. This is how Prabhupada writes. He calls a judge in a court as the justice of peace. So this is a very nice concept, that the justice of peace does both protection of the innocent and punishment for criminals. If somebody is pulled to the court for some case and then it is proven that actually is innocent, then he will be set free. And the judge will say, I order, I declare that this person is innocent and this person should be set free. And sometimes when there is a false case put on somebody, then the person who put the false case, he also gets punished for putting a false case on a gentleman. So sometimes he will reward that person. Sometimes, there is some consumer court, and that consumer court, this person bought something from some shop and there was cheating done. So sometimes the court will order the shop to pay to that customer a huge amount that is as as adjustment for all the trouble that that customer has undergone. So there is a reward for those who have been discriminated against, and there is punishment for the criminals. And when the chief justice, when the judge is doing these two things, is the judge having some bias against anybody, or has the judge has some bias for somebody? No, the judge does not favor somebody. It is quite possible that Justice Bobde is sitting, and in his case, the criminal's name is Bobde. There is some criminal with the name Bobde, and when he comes, he is going to have a strong case against this criminal Bobde. He's not going to release him just because his name is Bobde. So that is what it means to be justice. Similarly, Krishna, it's not that somebody who has a surname Yadav and whatever nonsense you do, just because your surname matches with the surname of the Supreme Lord Krishna when he came to this earth, if you are a Yadav, you can do whatever nonsense you can do. And what if there is somebody who was named by his mother and father Karna? They were great fans of Karna and they called their son as Karna. But this Karna, he grows up and he reads the Mahabharata and he understands the reality. He attends Gita classes and he understands how Karna is not such of a gentleman. Is it that just because his name is Karna, Krishna will never ever give him his bhakti? No, it's not like that. Yes. So the justice of peace sometimes indulges in violence. He will punish the criminals, and that is violence. But all this is being done for peace. Punishment to criminals and a reward to those who deserve it is all meant for peace, is all meant for betterment of society. So this is something which we have to mention. And Krishna, when he's killing some demons, those demons actually get benefited by killing of Krishna. If those demons were killed by somebody else, then they are not benefited so much. But because it is the Supreme Lord himself who's killing all these demons, those demons also experience mukti. So on one side, there are these big, big sadhus, there are these big, big yogis who are doing tapasya in the Himalayas to get mukti. They say this birth, old age, disease, and death. We don't want to be part of this cycle, never ending cycle. You are rich, you are poor, diseases will attack you. You are rich, you are poor, whatever it is, but still something will go wrong in your life. COVID, it does not have any favorites. It's not that only the poor people get attacked, it's not that only rich people get attacked. It's just unbiased. So sometimes these kind of things we might think like this, that Krishna is a biased person, but Krishna is not a biased person. We'll go ahead. Any thoughts on these two aspects of Krishna? So any ruler, today morning I was listening to one class by Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was saying that actually the way Krishna is, Krishna gives justice. He does not have any favoritism. He does not have any nepotism. He does not have a bias for, he does not have a bias against. So similarly, any ruler, any king, any leader should also be like this. Whenever a leader has a bias, whenever a ruler has a bias, whenever a king has a bias, actually, in one sense, he's disrespecting the Supreme Lord, who is totally unbiased. And Prabhupada was mentioning, because all of these people, they did not recognize this unbiased nature of Krishna, and they had their own whims. They did not obey the laws of Krishna. Because the Supreme Lord is putting a certain person in the position of a king to rule that particular tract of land. Just like Krishna is owning everything, but Krishna is saying, no, you seem to be a good person. If you follow my principles of no favoritism, if you follow my principles of no nepotism, you can rule a particular tract of land as my representative. But Prabhupada was mentioning that class how when kings disrespected the power of God, when the kings sat on the post of a king and said and declared and behaved in such a way, they said, I am the God. I'm not going to obey any God. I'm not going to follow any rules. Whatever I speak is the law of this land. So Prabhupada was saying, at one point of time, all these kings were there and they were respecting God's laws and they were unbiased and they were giving justice. Till that time, the kings survived. But as soon as they disobeyed God's laws, then today, he was mentioning, today there are no more kings. Even if there is a queen in England, she's only for namesake. She's not a judiciary. She does not have any power. So Prabhupada was saying, when a leader disobeys this principle of Krishna, that he becomes favorite towards some and he does not follow the principles of justice, then he will not last long as a leader, he will not last long as a ruler, and he will not last long as a king. So if any one of us is in a leadership position, if any one of us is in a position of great responsibility where a lot of people look up to us, it is a very serious matter for us that we have to reward those who are sincere and we have to punish those who are not sincere in a right way, in an appropriate way. Why? Because if we don't do that, it disturbs the law and order situation. And when we don't punish criminals, it sends a wrong signal to the other criminals, and it sends a message of discouragement for the gentlemen. They feel we are following all rules, but what are we getting in return? Fear. And look at this person, he's creating fear in others' hearts, but the government is totally overlooking him. So, what is the point in becoming a gentleman? So, when you don't punish a criminal, it's actually encouraging the gentleman to become a criminal. So, these are some thoughts that come to me when I speak on Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chadushritam Dharma Sansthapanarthaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. Any thoughts from any one of you about these two aspects of Krishna? Okay, no problem. Yeah, somebody wants to speak? Yes.
Yes, Krishna, Prabhuji Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
So, the thought that is coming to my mind is that sometimes we might not be in a position of leadership. Like ordinary citizens, also, there is a great responsibility that sits on our shoulders because we are the ones who choose our leaders in a democracy. So even we should be unbiased and look at the positives and the negatives of the leaders and then only make a decision. I have seen a lot of people being biased towards one leader, and everything that leader does is good, and everything that the other leader does is bad. And they make choices based on their personal bias.
Yeah.
So even that should not happen. So regardless of whether we are in a leadership position or not, this should not happen.
Yeah, the point was that the more you are a leader, the more important it becomes for you to be unbiased. Not to say that if we are not leaders, we don't need to be unbiased. Everyone needs to be unbiased, but I'm saying the responsibility rises as you grow higher. And any ordinary citizen, anybody who's listening to this class, you may not be some big politician or you may not be leading some big group, but all of us are leading our own families, is it not? So, all of us who are listening to this class, you have your own children. So, you are the natural leaders of your children, and your children will learn
Yeah.
from you. Your daughter will learn from you. Your son will learn from you. So, if you are biased, that's the samskaras that will go to your children. And if you are unbiased and you teach your children to be unbiased, and you say, beta, जो सच्चाई है उसको स्वीकार करना चाहिए, that's how your children will grow up, and that's how your children will actually stand tall tomorrow when difficult situations come into their life. So this is something from my side. We'll go ahead. Then in 4.9, Krishna is saying, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah yaktva deham punarjanma naiti ma meti so Arjuna. Now Krishna is talking about his special appearance. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode of Arjun. So he's mentioning my Janma is not ordinary Janma, my Janma is Divya. And my karma, my activities are also not ordinary activities, my activities are also very Divya. Somebody who knows them, Tattvataha. Tattvataha means in the right understanding. So how was Krishna born? Krishna was not born in the maternity ward with lot of crying in that way. Krishna was first. He descended into the heart of Vasudeva. From the heart of Vasudeva, he transferred himself to the heart of Devaki. And from the heart of Devaki, he went and sat into the womb of Devaki, in the stomach of Devaki. And on the day Janmashtami, Janmashtami this year is on August 12th. On the day of Janmashtami at 12 o'clock midnight, the Supreme Lord just appeared in front of Devaki from her own womb. It's not that Devaki underwent labor pains or anything. That's not the way the Lord appeared. And he's very beautiful when he appears, and he has these earrings, and he has very beautiful blackish curly hair. And what about the activities of Lord Krishna? The activities of Lord Krishna are so attractive. Every small thing that he has done is so attractive. He has stolen butter, and even that stealing butter has so many songs on it. And he is dancing in Ras Leela, and that is so attractive. And he has spoken for something like 45 minutes or 1 hour to his dear friend Arjun, and that one conversation, which lasted only for 45 minutes or 1 hour, is being studied by you and me for the last 5 or 6 months now. So that's very interesting about Krishna. So his Janma and his Karma both are Divya. His Janma and Karma both are transcendental. They are not ordinary. So Lord Krishna's divine appearance is in the prison house of Kamsa. Kamsa has imprisoned Devaki and Vasudeva, and Krishna appeared in his four-handed form as Lord Vishnu. But then Devaki was saying, how will I love him? He's my child, but he's appearing in this form of Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu's form disappeared, and this very lovable, very attractive, very sweet baby form appeared. And Devaki could actually treat the Supreme Lord as her own child. And then the child mentioned to Vasudeva, please transport me to Vrindavan. And then Vasudeva said, but how am I going to do that? But still, Vasudeva, because he knows this is Supreme Lord's order, he got up. And as soon as he got up, he saw that all the lamps, they went out, and all the guards that were outside the prison, they automatically fell asleep. And all the gates that had locks on them, they automatically opened. And Vasudeva is carrying the baby Krishna, and there is a huge snake, Sankarshan, who's protecting them. And the whole river, Yamuna river, it parted, and Vasudeva could cross the river. And then he went to Vrindavan where Yashoda was sleeping, and Yashoda had given birth to a baby girl. And Vasudeva keeps Krishna there and takes that baby girl and goes back to the prison in Mathura. And Kamsa feels, oh, this girl was born, and he tries to kill that girl. And that girl transforms herself into Durga Devi. And Durga Devi says, you fool, do you think you can kill me? You cannot kill me, and you cannot kill my master also. Your death is already born. You can't do much about it. It's already decided. So this is how Lord Krishna appeared in this world, amidst lot of fear, amidst lot of uncertainty. But as soon as Krishna appeared, then all the uncertainty disappeared and all the fear disappeared. Similarly, in our lives also, it is quite possible that it is midnight in our life. In our life, it is complete darkness. In our life, it is just rains everywhere, and there is no happiness, there is fear, there is uncertainty. But in these times, at midnight, when Krishna appeared, he told Vasudeva, take me there. And Vasudeva said, yes, I'll take you. And everything opened up, the gates opened up, everything happened. And that's how Vasudeva was able to transfer the child to Gokul. Similarly, in our lives also, if we accept Krishna's guidance in our lives, it is not different from Krishna. All the darkness in our lives, all the pain in our lives, all the uncertainty in our lives will disappear. All the gates will open up if we decide to carry Krishna in our hands, just like Vasudeva carried Krishna in his hands. So then the question comes, this is Prahlad who was put amidst snakes, but he kept on remembering, he kept on chanting Krishna's names, and that's why those snakes did not act on him. This Prahlad was also put to be crushed under wild elephants. But when the elephants tried to crush him, they were not able to do that. Why? Because Prahlad just closed his eyes and kept chanting the names. And then there is a story of this Ajamil Brahman. This Ajamil Brahman was a very sinful person, and in the picture you see the Yamadutas who have come to take him. But because he got scared of these Yamadutas, he cried out to his son, Narayan. And he said, Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. But he was actually calling out to his son. But the interesting thing was the name Narayan is not just the name of his son. The name Narayan is also the name of the Supreme Lord. And as soon as he chanted Narayan, the Vishnu Dutas came. The servants of Lord Narayan came and they said, stop! Where are you taking this person? And they said, well, he's a sinful person. We need to take him. We need to punish him. We want to give him justice. But the servants of Lord Narayan said, you don't know what is justice. Justice is that this person might have done a lot of sinful activities, but at the last moment, he took shelter of Lord Narayan. Didn't you hear? He chanted Narayan, Narayan. So you cannot take him. And these four Vishnu Dutas, they have come and they're stopping the Yamdutas, and the Yamdutas had to leave Ajamil. So Ajamil was saved by chanting Lord Narayan's name unconsciously. He was not calling out to Lord Narayan, he was calling out to his son. So somebody like Prahlad got saved by chanting his name consciously, and Ajamil got saved by chanting Lord Narayan's name unconsciously. Both of them got saved from death multiple times. Prahlad was saved from death multiple times. And some people feel that Lord Krishna died an ordinary death. How can that person whose names saved so many people from death, how can he die an ordinary death? So in the Bhagavatam it is mentioned, after Dharma was established, after the Kauravas were destroyed, and after Yudhishthir Maharaj was made the king of the earth planet, it was time for Lord Krishna to disappear. Dharma samsthapana has happened. Paritranaya sadhunam and vinashaya cha dushkritam has happened. And he's sitting behind a tree. And do you remember Vali from Ramayana? He is the brother of Sugriv. So he was shot from behind a tree. And when he was shot from behind a tree, he had a lot of anger against Lord Ramchandra. So Vali forgot all that, but Lord Ramchandra did not forget. And when he came as Krishna, that same Vali got a chance to take out his anger by shooting an arrow towards Krishna from behind a tree. So what happened is, you can see in the picture, Lord Krishna's left thigh and left foot is on his right thigh, and he was sitting behind a tree, a banyan tree, and his foot came out. So the hunter is somewhere far behind. His name was Jara, and he saw the beautiful foot of Lord Krishna coming out, and he thought it is a deer. The foot of Lord Krishna was pinkish in color, and that's why he thought that it is a deer. And he was looking to kill an animal. So he took aim and he shot an arrow, and this arrow hit the foot of Lord Krishna. And he came to check there, where is the deer that I shot? And when he saw that actually it is Lord Dwarkadhish, it is Lord Krishna who's sitting there, he immediately begged forgiveness. But Lord Krishna told him, no, I'm using you as an instrument. Actually, it is time for me to leave this world. And anyways, I had to leave. And you also in your past life had a lot of anger against me because you thought that I had hurt you. So I gave you that chance to fulfill your ichha also. So those who want to love Krishna, they get a chance to love Krishna. Those who want to respect Krishna, they get a chance to respect Krishna. Those who want to follow Krishna, they get a chance to follow Krishna. And those who want to hate Krishna, those who want to hurt Krishna, Krishna is so merciful. He gives even such people a chance to kind of hurt him. And using that as a pretext, using that as an excuse, Lord Krishna disappeared from this world after establishing Dharma, after his purpose was completed. So please don't feel that Krishna is an ordinary person. His birth was not ordinary, his activities were not ordinary, his words were not ordinary. And even when he left this world, it was not an ordinary event. And what he did was he assured to this person that since you have done some seva for me, you will also go back to Vaikuntha. So the person who in one sense killed or attacked Krishna, he also went back to the spiritual world. So just think about it. If this person called Krishna is sending the person who hurt him to the Vaikuntha, where will this person himself go? So sometimes in some religions, unfortunately, they have a wrong idea about Krishna. And they say that Krishna, because he did some immoral activities, there is no immorality for Krishna. They say sometimes Krishna did some immoral activities. So right now he's suffering in hell. Unfortunately, these kind of wrong things go on. But you and me as students of Bhagavad Gita, we should not believe this and we should understand this. So next shloka, 4.10, Krishna is saying, Vitaraga bhaya krodha manmaya mamupashritaha bahavo jnana tapasa puta mad bhavamagata. So those of us who will accept 4.7, 4.8 and 4.9, that who is Krishna? Krishna is not an ordinary person, although he looks ordinary. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, and taking refuge in me, having faith in me. Many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So when we read 4.7, 4.8, 4.9, we read, Are Paritranaya Sadhunam Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya. So, it seems like a very tall order to love Krishna. So people may feel it's very difficult to love such a great personality. Why? Because this great personality is unbiased. If we do something wrong, maybe he will punish us. Unless we do something really pure hearted, he may not reward us. So Krishna is trying to encourage all of us by saying Don't think I am more strict than necessary. Don't think I am more harsh than necessary. Actually, I'm a very kind hearted person. Just by knowing that my birth is special, my activities are special, and my leaving this world is special. He says, Janma karma cheve divyam evam yoveti tatvata. You do not take birth again. Think about it. Just by knowing it very nicely, who is Krishna? We won't take birth again. Something that is not possible for big, big yogis and big, big rishis is possible for you and me, just based on a proper understanding of 4.9. And if that seems too difficult for us, then Krishna is encouraging us by saying, many, many people, bahavo, many, many people have got success in spiritual life. Please don't feel it is impossible. So here this word that is highlighted is tapasa. Tapasa means they have undergone a lot of tapasya. So we will feel, बाप रे, अभी प्रभु जी आपने तो एनकरेज करने की बात की थी, अभी वापस आप बोल रहे हैं कि तपस्या करनी पड़ेगी. So what is that tapasya? One of our acharyas, Baldev Vidyabhushan, he mentions what is this tapasya. And he mentions the tapasya that you and me have to do is we have to tolerate faulty ideas of people of this world. We have to tolerate the faulty logic of people of this world. And we have to tolerate the faulty arguments of people of this world. If we can tolerate all this nonsense that is being spread, that 100 mistakes of Krishna, 100 mistakes of Ram, and if we can keep ourselves focused on the knowledge of the Gita, and if we do not give much attention to all these allegations that nonsense people are doing against Krishna, they will get their justice. At the right time, in the right way, Krishna will arrange for their justice. Shishupal, at one point of time, was killed by Krishna, but it's not that the first time he started speaking about Krishna, he was killed. Because Krishna had promised his mother for a long, long time, Shishupal would speak nonsense about Krishna but stop at 99 and he would be saved. But in that Rajasuya Yagya, he just could not control himself and he crossed the border of 100 and then that's the point he was killed. Similarly, there are many Shishupals like that in today's times, and proper time they will also be dealt with properly, they will get justice. But till that time, what is tapasya for you and me? Tapasya for you and me is to not get swayed by these wrong opinions, to get not swayed by all this wrong logic that is there surrounding in all these novels. Sometimes there is a novel called Mrutyunjay, and in this novel called Mrutyunjay, Karna is glorified, and it is shown how Krishna and Arjun and the Pandavas, they did so much nonsense against Karna, and Karna did not get justice. So I'll tell you something about Karna. Maybe you are aware, maybe you are not aware, but I'm just sharing it with you. Actually, before the war, you know, Kunti Devi, she could see the face of Karna and she could understand that he is my son. So she goes to Karna and says, my dear Karna, I request you that, these five are your brothers. I am your mother. So please step back from the war. Just don't fight. You don't have to come to our side. You don't have to fight on the Pandavas side because they are your brothers. Just step back from the war because don't fight with your own brothers. And I assure you, because I know Dharma is going to win, Krishna is on this side, so Dharma is going to win, right is going to win. When Yudhishthir becomes the king, I will request Yudhishthir, Yudhishthir, you don't become the king. Karna is an elder brother, Karna is more elder to you, so Karna should become the king, and Yudhishthir will listen to me. So you will become the king. You just have to do one thing, don't participate in this war and you will become the king without fighting the war. I assure you this. Do you want to know what is the reply of Karna to his own mother? He says, my dear mother, before the start of the war you have five sons, and after the war I assure you, you will have five sons. You know what that means? It means he's saying, Arjun ko main nahi chodunga, Arjun ko to main marunga. He has so much envy against Arjun. He has so much problems with Arjun. He says, before the war, Yudhishthir, Bhim, Arjun, Nakul, and Sahadev. After the war, Karna, Yudhishthir, Bhim, Nakul, and Sahadev. But Arjun, I have to kill. Can you imagine a son speaking like this arrogantly to his own mother? I cannot listen to you. I have to kill my younger brother. This is the kind of arrogant person. I have many more stories. Maybe at a proper time, at a proper place, in the proper context, I will speak more about this person called Karna. but there are all these faulty novels being written. There are faulty television serials that are being shown. But if we take shelter of the Bhagavad Gita and we can tolerate this faulty logic, faulty arguments, and faulty ideas, this is the tapasya for you and me. And if you and me can do this tapasya, if we can stick to proper discussions based on the Gita, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, and the Bhagavatam, and we stay away from all this, Krishna is mentioning here, Puta, purified people, they attained me. Mad bhavam agata. All of us who are listening to this class, we may have our own bad habits and we may have our own limitations, but Krishna is assuring if you stick to the principles of the Gita, all of you one day will become purified and all of you one day will get me. You don't have to worry about it. Yes. So, just 2 more minutes. This is a Vaikuntha airplane for Ajamil, the same Brahman whom I showed that he was, the Yamadutas came and wanted to punish him for his sinful activities. But when Vishnuduta stopped him, Ajamil learned his lesson. He went to Haridwar. This is Haridwar shown in the picture. And 12 years, Ajamil went to Haridwar and did bhakti to Lord Hari. And at the end of his life, this is a Vaikuntha airplane that has come with Vishnudutas to take him to Vaikuntha. Similarly, we have, here a picture of Srila Prabhupada that he's offering full namaskars to the deities of Radha Krishna. Radha Krishna are there, and Prabhupada is offering full namaskars. So even if he's so old, it's not that sometimes we see old people don't bend, old people don't offer namaskars. But Acharya means he shows us by his example, not just by his words. So he taught all of us to bow down before Krishna. It's not that Prabhupada just taught us by his words. Prabhupada himself also, whenever he would go to any temple of Radha Krishna, he would properly offer his namaskars. And here we see that Prabhupada is offering namaskars to Gaur Nitai. So there was a situation in one temple when Prabhupada was praying, and the devotees asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, what are you praying? And Prabhupada said that I'm praying to Lord Krishna to always keep me in his shelter. And then Prabhupada went to another temple in the evening, and there also he was praying. So there also some devotees asked him, Prabhupada, what were you praying? And Prabhupada was saying, my dear Lord Krishna, please protect me from all kinds of maya, from all kinds of illusion. So they said, Prabhupada, in the morning you are praying that you want to remember Krishna, you want to stay in his shelter, and now you are praying to be not affected by Maya. Why you are praying like this? So Prabhupada said, because I am being sheltered by Krishna, that's why I am being protected by Maya. श्री कृष्ण भगवान का जिसको आश्रय प्राप्त हुआ है उसको कभी जीवन में कुछ तकलीफ नहीं हो सकती. And that's why Prabhupada said, in the morning I prayed that please keep in your shelter. And because Krishna is giving me shelter, that's why Maya cannot touch me. So these are some simple incidents from Prabhupada's life that can teach us so much. That yes, there will be problems in our life, but the more and more we take shelter of Krishna, slowly those problems will disappear from our lives. And this is that shloka, which is a very important shloka for us that we'll discuss next time. So today we gave our discussion basically to 4.7. Why does Krishna appear in this world? Whenever and wherever. Dharmasya glani and adharmasya abhyuthanam. And what does he do? Paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha dushkitam. Dharma sansthapanaya. Both are important, and a leader should be unbiased. And then we discussed how his janma and his karma are not ordinary, they are transcendental. And somebody who knows this can also attain Krishna. And the fourth point which we discuss now is many people in the past have attained Krishna just by taking shelter of him. And if you and me also take shelter of Krishna, we can also become purified. So I'll stop here. If somebody has any questions, then we can take 1 or 2 questions.
Ji, I have my question since last week. May I please ask that question?
Yes.
Yeah. Prabhuji, my question was, I hope I don't offend anybody, but I wanted to ask this question. The last avatar, that I know of Krishna is, I think, Buddha avatar. Am I correct?
Yes, the most recent.
The most recent, exactly. And it's been how many years since that avatar? Like thousands of years, if I'm not mistaken again. And after today's class, okay, Krishna has said that I will appear every time there is a loss of balance. Okay, but for the past so many thousands of years or hundreds of years, planet Earth has seen so much of imbalance in injustice to people, injustice to nature, the kind of the terrorism attacks which happen. There's so much crime which happens all over the world. Okay, there's so much loss of faith. There's so much of fraud. There's so much of cheating happening even in the law and order system of every country, especially India. Has Krishna ever made an appearance again after that we don't know of? Or why have he not made an appearance all these years?
Okay, I'll answer this in a very simple way. We were speaking about Prahlad and we were speaking about Hiranyakashipu. And you remember I mentioned that Hiranyakashipu was a terrorist of the whole universe. He was terrorizing the whole universe, I was mentioning. And when he was terrorizing the whole universe, there are many devatas also who are being terrorized. There are many big devatas, big administrators who were being troubled by Hiranyakashipu, but the Supreme Lord never appeared. And then I mentioned something happened which triggered the appearance of Lord Vishnu. Do you remember what it was?
Not immediately, no. No, Prabhuji.
Okay, no problem, not a problem. I was mentioning that one day when he got a son, Prahlad, and that Prahlad is also a devotee of Krishna. That was something that he could not tolerate. And he was telling Prahlad, why do you chant the names of Vishnu? Why do you listen to the teachings of Vishnu? Why don't you say that I am God? Just look at all these devatas. I have captured them like prisoners, and all of them are my servants. So in one sense, I am God. सब देवता मेरी सेवा कर रहे हैं तो मैं ही भगवान हो गया ना. तो आप हमेशा विष्णु विष्णु क्यों करते रहते हैं? And then Prahlad, because he has so much faith in Krishna, he's not ready to give up his faith. And as we saw in some pictures, there was an attempt made even to kill Prahlad. But at one point of time, when he himself wanted to kill Prahlad, that is the time when the Supreme Lord appeared. And I was mentioning how the Supreme Lord was so angry on Hiranyakashipu because he tried to kill his devotee. So many times, the Devatas, the good people, the Devatas are the good people, the administrators, they are not evil people, but they may not eagerly call out to the Supreme Lord. They may not really call out for the help of the central government. They are like the state government and they feel that they can manage the situation on their own. So they never ever ask for guidance from the central government and they keep on postponing the help from the central government. So if today, as you're rightly mentioning, there is tremendous law and order imbalance, there is a tremendous environmental imbalance, there is a tremendous imbalance in the values of individual people, but none of us are actually calling out to Lord Krishna for help. None of us are actually seriously, intensely taking shelter of the Bhagavad Gita and saying, my dear Lord, you are so amazing. 5,000 years back, you have left behind your knowledge, which helped Arjun in a moment of crisis. I'm sure it will help me in my moments of crisis. The more we take shelter of Krishna, just like Prahlad, Lord Narsimha will appear. But the more we behave like the Devatas, that we don't call out to the Lord. Only Prahlad called out to the Lord. The Devatas did not call out to the Lord. The Devatas were trying to solve the problem on their own, to the best of their own limited ability. So till the time we actually do not take shelter of the Gita, till the time we do not take shelter of Krishna, till the time we do not take actually shelter of the knowledge of Krishna, even the chanting of his names. So sometimes we feel that this kirtan and all is all sentimental stuff, it's all emotional stuff, but it's very interesting that Krishna's name and Krishna are not different. Krishna's name and his guna, his qualities are not different. Krishna and his form, the murti, is not different. And Krishna and his katha, the stories of Krishna, the activities of Krishna, they are non different. For an ordinary person, his name and the person are different. For an ordinary person, the form, the picture of a person and the person are different. But for Krishna, because he's absolute, in Kirtan, when we chant the holy name, there is a protection of Krishna. If we actually take shelter in the message of the Bhagavad Gita, we are studying it, we are doing it. So more, all of us, we take shelter of the Gita, we go deeper into the teachings of the Gita, more the Supreme Lord will manifest in our intelligence. The more Supreme Lord will manifest in our lives. But it all depends on our seriousness, our intensity, our eagerness for Krishna. Krishna does not want to come and make his appearance just to impress you and me. He says, अगर आपको सही में इच्छा है तो मैं आने के लिए तैयार हूं, लेकिन मुझे आजकल कोई बुलाता नहीं है. So in those days, everyone is crying for the Supreme Lord. They want his shelter, they want his mercy, they want to receive his guidance, and they received. Arjun asked for guidance, he received. 2.7, 2.8, we discussed, and we saw how Arjun was a friend of Krishna. But in 2.7, he says, I'm no longer a friend. You are my guru, I am your disciple, please instruct me. And that's when Krishna started speaking. The whole first chapter we discussed, Krishna did not speak a single shloka. Why? Because Arjun was speaking everything. तो अर्जुन के सामने ही खड़े हैं, लेकिन अर्जुन बोलते जा रहे हैं, बोलते जा रहे हैं, बोलते जा रहे हैं. तो कृष्ण ने बोला ठीक है, फिर आप बोलिए. लेकिन जब अर्जुन ने बोला अभी मैं मेरा बोलना बंद करता हूं, बिकॉज बाय सो मच स्पीकिंग my problem is not solved, I am getting more and more confused, then Krishna started speaking. So similarly in our lives also, the day when we eagerly take shelter of Krishna, either in his murti form, either in his nama form, either in his Gita form, either in his katha form, any of these forms, whichever is attractive to us, the day when we actually start living by those principles, that day Krishna will appear in your life. He may not be appearing in my life because I'm not so eager. I'm not really taking shelter of Krishna. To the extent to which we all are taking shelter of Krishna, to the extent to which we have eagerness like Prahlad, to the extent to which we eagerly seek guidance of Krishna like Arjun, Krishna will manifest in our lives. So that was that thing I wanted to point out.
Prabhuji,
Devatas.
can I
Yeah,
say
yeah, you can
something?
speak.
Can I?
Of course,
This
of
is
course.
something I have heard Maharaj say that
Okay.
in Kali Yuga, the Lord appears in His name, and like what you said, rightly said, and like what the question was now, where is He now? Where is the Lord now? Because there's a lot of problems in the world. So specifically in Kali Yuga, the Lord appears in His name, and all the power of all that incarnations, everything is in that name. That's what I just wanted to say.
Yeah, you're right. Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. Nama Haite Hai Sarva Jagat Nistar. This is Kali Kale in the Kali Yuga. Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. Krishna primarily descends in the form of his holy name. So, the more we respect Krishna in the form of his teachings, the more we'll be inclined to chant his names. But if we do not respect his teachings in the form of the Gita, then even when we are sitting for Kirtan, we may not actually relish the Kirtan, we may not actually take part in the Kirtan. So when we